John, go ahead, because you had your hand up, and then we'll wrap.
Yeah. Man, don't wrap, man. 1 week you did not give me a chance. You don't see me in the room.
Please don't interrupt your colleagues. Go ahead, John.
Mr. Vadan, I've been a journalist 25 years. Don't tell me how to treat my colleagues. You need to treat the journalists with respect. It's my 4th press briefing with you. You have ignored
Jaleel, not everybody gets a question. John, please go ahead.
Otherwise, I'm going to have insulted
I'm happy to. I'm happy to end the briefing if you're not going to.
Attitude. If you treat a journalist like this is a shameful attitude.
Go ahead, John.
You and Matt are disgracing this podium, in my opinion.
Go ahead, John. All right, thanks everybody.
President Trump is absolutely right. You guys are shaming this country with your attitude.
What is really perplexing is the fact that the president laid out the plan on May 31. You guys took it to the Security Council, UN Security Council. You got a resolution and so on. Why is there a need to have more talks? Why can't you just find a mechanism to implement what you have already agreed to with the rest of the world?
Saeed, for anybody who's actually probably been part of a negotiation process, it's probably not perplexing at all. This is a process. It is a complicated process, and as I said to Sean, and as Admiral Kirby said just an hour ago at the White House, the focus now is working on the details of the implementation and details of execution and specific implementing measures. There is no question as it relates to the contours that President Biden laid out at the end of May. That was then quickly supported by the international community, including the UN Security Council and much of the Arab world. And it is the contours of the plan that was echoed last week in the trilateral statement by President Biden, the Emir of Qatar, and the President of Egypt. So this is a process, and we're going to let this process play out. I'm not going to get into the specifics.
Just logic tells me that everybody will be spared the heartache if they say, okay, this is what we have, now let's find a way to implement it. And instead of going back to square one, instead of having
don't think there's anybody going back to square one, Saeed. This is a process, and as I have said for what is probably now the 4th time, that this is what there is broad agreement on the contours of what President Biden laid out at the end of May. What we are talking about now is some specific details, some specific implementing factors. There are, of course, still gaps and things that need to be bridged in that space, but when we're talking about the overall framework, that has been generally accepted, and that continues to be the case.
Oh, well, the point, Vedant, I know what you said yesterday about whatever is attributed to Mr. Netanyahu is basically allegation, alleged. You said alleged. In fact, it was the title of my article about what you said. But the Israelis, different Israeli sources, different Israeli media, and so on, they insist that Mr. Netanyahu wants to renegotiate the Philadelphia crossing. Mr. Netanyahu wants to negotiate the Nitzrim crossing. He wants to insist on a system that is almost, impossible to vet, whoever goes to the north and so on. He's saying basically, it's like an impossible situation to arrive at.
Saeed,
I know you said that it was alleged, but it seems that Mr. Netanyahu insists on these restrictions.
So I know you all have a job to focus on these things, but I try not to spend a lot of time worrying about unnamed sources and documents that may or may not have veracity. What we're focused on is playing a constructive role in the talks that began today, and beyond that, I'm just not going to get into the specifics of the ongoing process.
A couple more questions on the, on the West Bank. There's been a settlement in a UNESCO site and so on. I wonder if you're aware of the report and if you have any comment on that.
I've seen those reports, Saeed, and again, this administration has spoken out against Israeli actions that undermine territorial continuity for a future Palestinian state. Something like this would certainly be that. Every single one of these new settlements would impede Palestinian economic development and freedom of movement and undermine the feasibility of a two-state solution. Simultaneously, Saeed, what we have said a number of times continues to be the case, which is that the Israeli government settlement program, we find that to be inconsistent with international law, and we certainly oppose the advancement of settlements in the West Bank, and this would certainly be an example of that.
If you indulge me one more, Vedant, just to follow up on what Jennifer mentioned about crossing the 40,000 mark. I mean, this is more than 10 to 1 as far as how many, all lost life is precious and so on. But now we have at least 10 to 1 Palestinians that have died. When will enough be enough? Because I know you say, one more, we don't want to see it, but the fact of the matter is that you've been saying this since last December, and we have killing every single day. Every single day, no 24-hour goes by without killing at least 36, 40, 50 Palestinians, most of them children. So, I mean, when will enough be enough?
Said, what we are exactly focusing on is trying to have a resolution that would allow the fighting to stop. That's why we have time and time again, and again just a moment ago, I said that the best thing for the parties to do to minimize impact on all, including the Palestinian civilians, is to accept and finalize a ceasefire deal, one that is encompassing of the hostages being returned, an influx of humanitarian aid, and broader diplomacy to happen for the region to get out of this endless cycle of violence.